Expectations are a bitch. One of the most undermining forces in life is unmet expectations. We can place unrealistic expectations on ourselves, on our kids, on employees or team members, and even upon the systems in our lives. After running a business for 25 years, I always say that my four least favorite letters in the English language are HR and IT. In a business setting, one or the other is likely to let you down if you are too reliant upon it. But don't be too quick to blame the people or the systems around you. Look to yourself first. Ask, am I overloading the resources I have around me and creating unrealistic, unachievable, or unsustainable expectations? Let me share a personal example unfolding in real time in my business. In a previous episode entitled The Distance Between Success and Failure, I talked about how much of my success has been tied to the ability to create a sense of urgency. But the counterpoint to this is that you cannot be pushing all the time. I have learned this particularly in the post-COVID world, where the pace of achievement has slowed. Pushing to make things happen faster can undermine success altogether. All right, we're coming down to the end here. Principle number 9, don't make emotional decisions, but always recognize the impact of your emotions when making decisions. Decisions made based upon emotion are often rash and reactive. Logic and reason can be clouded, leading to poor choices. However, we have to acknowledge the existence of our emotions as human beings, validate them, and understand that they can have a powerful impact upon us. Ignoring your emotions altogether can be catastrophic. And the emotion I'm experiencing at this very moment is excitement. Why? Because I'm about to quote Bruce Lee for the first time on Dadages. Bruce Lee said this on the topic: emotion can be the enemy. If you give in to your emotion, you lose yourself. You must be at one with your emotions because the body always follows the mind. Principle 10. It is better to force your own failure than it is to cling to a tenuous opportunity for success. One of the worst ways you can operate outside of your capacity is by chasing after failing endeavors. There's an expression in business, throwing good money after bad, which means to keep spending money on a problem when it is a lost cause. I think it can be far more debilitating to throw good time after bad. Don't keep spending time on failed opportunities because you're both overextending yourself and wasting time that could have been used towards something far more productive. And a good idea to go along with this is to invest time and thought in creating exit strategies and landing pads for yourself. Exiting endeavors should be done in a thoughtful manner, and you should find something to invest your time in to replace the endeavor after you exit it. This will help you keep it moving, as my former business partner liked to say after we took an L. And here's the 11th and final principle we will cover for today. Don't see your limits as weakness. See your awareness of them as a tremendous strength. Knowing your limitations as an individual or an organization gives you tremendous competitive advantage over those who do not. And be discerning about your evaluation of your limitations. Recognize absolute versus relative limits. Those things that you just can't accomplish without unacceptable ramifications are absolute, versus those that require some form of innovation, change of approach, or change of capacity in order to make them achievable without unacceptable impacts are relative. Prioritizing long-term wellness over short-term achievements can make you far more successful in the long run. And to put an end to our discussion of paradox and oxymoron, here's a combination of two words that is not oxymoronic, it is simply moronic. Coping strategy. Coping is not a strategy. If you are just coping, I'm sure everything is fine until it's not. True wisdom lies in recognizing that you are coping and making changes so that you can be thriving instead. To bring today's episode to a close, I'm going to leave you with just a few spins on today's Dadage. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you can. Hopefully these help you hang on to the highlights of what we've covered today. Here we go. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you can do it within the time frame you have allotted. When time is your enemy, you will always lose the battle. Take time off the table. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should be the one doing it. Delegate or die. Find an organized way to take things off your own plate that should be done by others. Just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean you can do it the way you are currently trying to do it. Try a different approach, experiment, and optimize. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you can keep it up forever. Give yourself a cutoff. Check in with yourself and know when enough is enough. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that now is the right time to do it. You can do everything you want in your life, just not all right now. Just because you can do something doesn't mean it's fair to those around you. Talk openly with your family about major decisions and commitments. Get your team on board at work. You will need their understanding and support. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you can do it alone. Look for help. Find someone you can trust and rely upon, someone who truly has your back.